All right, welcome to Wrestle Plug Rants, our exclusive ranting section for our YouTube channel. On tap, let's talk about the WWE Hall of Fame. And I'm not alone. Of course, I'm Aeron next, ladies and gentlemen, but we also have Carl Wilkinson and Jeremy Miller in the house. Welcome, lads.
Hello, hello. You guys ready to lose your fucking minds?
Let us rant.
Ready. Let us rant. What did you go with? I didn't realise Dalek had come. Let us rant. We must hate on somebody. Oh my God! I can actually do a Dalek impression as well. Jesus, my talents know no bounds, and yet you cunts get it all for free. WWE Hall of Fame. Now we know what the Hall of Fame is. This rant is about who should be in it but isn't, and I'm going to let Kyle Wilkinson start because he dropped a teaser on one of our podcasts.
Okay, this is going to be something that I'm sure people have asked themselves. They just haven't had the balls to voice it out loud, so fuck you, I'm going to do it. We have 4 gentlemen going into the Hall of Fame this year that are getting their second ring. We have Hulk Hogan, we have Kevin Nash, we have Scott Hall, and we have Sean Waltman, all going in as the NWO. Fine. That group had a very large impact on wrestling as a whole. Sure, fine. But they're all getting their second ring. I have 2 names that I could give you that don't even have one, but you'll have to wait because I'm only going to focus on one today. Why the fuck is Christian not in the Hall of Fame? Why? Okay? That man, he revolutionized tag team wrestling in the 90s. You know, the late 90s, Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, you know, TLC, 5-second poses. He fucking did everything. Edge won King of the Ring. Him and Christian split up. Christian went on to have one of the greatest theme songs during the early 2000s. I love that theme song. You know, and I believe he won the light heavyweight championship at least once. I think he was probably European champion at some point because I think everyone was European champion at some point. Then early 2000s roll around, like 2003, 2004. He has that rivalry with Jericho over Trish. Yeah, culminating with that
Classic.
That great kick in the dick by Trish, and then her and Christian just macking out on the stage. That was cool. 2004 was a good year, and then I think it was 2005. John Cena had moved to Raw as the WWE champion in the draft. He was involved in the main event scene for a while. I believe there was a triple threat at one point with him and Jericho against Cena. And then he left. He went and made his name it was still owned by the NWA at the time, but he went to TNA. And there he proved he could be a headliner. He proved he could be a top guy. I believe he's at least a 3-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And
he's twice the NWA
twice?
World Heavyweight Champion. Oh yeah, we do our research here, sunshine.
That's cool. I'm going on all memory here because right now I'm fueled by hate and rage.
Yes, let us let the hate flow.
And I think he was there until 2009. I believe he came back to the revived WWE CW that no one really likes to talk about. But it was a thing, and he was the CW champion. And I thought, okay, that's a step in the right direction. That's cool, but it still took 2 more years and an awful circumstance for him to get his first real world title run in the WWE. After Edge had to retire, and it was Christian against Del Rio in that ladder match. I don't remember what pay-per-view it was. Was it Extreme Rules or Money in the Bank? Doesn't really matter. The point is, Christian finally won the big one. But that's not why I'm upset he's not in the Hall of Fame. It's just the fact, it's his entire career in general. He's done so much for the business. He's done just about everything you can do. He was a perennial mid-carder forever, finally proved he could service in the main event, and then he just, disappeared. And no one remembers that. And it just, someone take over before I start to overboil.
Yeah, he had his career cut short because of concussions, but they didn't really give him the appropriate retirement. He had a very quick dual reign as world heavyweight champion against Randy Orton. That rivalry in 2010, 2011. But he went to TNA and made himself a name at TNA, and that's what pisses. This ties in very nicely to our other rant about you and Impact Wrestling. When he went to TNA, it was a good format and it was a good program. It had Samoa Joe, it had AJ Styles, it had Roderick Strong, Austin Aries, all these great wrestlers. And he came in before a lot of the older pastures came flying in and basically made it a bit of a mockery later down the line. And he was legit. He felt like a superstar. He made himself a main event player going there. And then when he came back to WWE, they couldn't really deny him anymore. He went over there and he made himself, and he was NWA, NWA, yeah, that's right, NWA TNA World Champion twice, and he was out there having killer matches with Kurt Angle, with Samoa Joe, with AJ Styles. He had brilliant comedic timing as well. You got to see more of that comedic stuff. But what it was he was not just a comic. He was now a legitimate great wrestler, which he'd always been, but people had never seen that because it was all about Edge, which is fine. Edge for me is one of the greatest of all time, but Edge and Christian is so crucial to everything that is wrestling for the Attitude Era and beyond, and even now. And they don't do their podcast anymore, the ENC, podcast, the Reeks of Awesomeness. And that alone really was a great source of material to understand just how important Christian was and just how many memories he had. And he's got a wicked sense of humor. He's so funny. And also, do you know what? He's not in the Hall of Fame because he didn't have the dramatic, emotional retirement Edge did. And Edge is absolutely worthy of that moment, and now he's back. But Christian didn't get that. He didn't get anything from WWE. They basically kind of shit-canned him, let's be honest. I know he had an amazing career, and he's probably made a lot of money. He's looked after himself. He's a very successful man. He's an entrepreneur. He's now a father. He's done an amazing amount of things, and he looks so healthy and happy now outside of wrestling. But you always sit there and think he should have had his last hurrah. Remember the gimmick, one more match. He even had a world title match at SummerSlam against Alberto Del Rio. I feel like there was so much more to get from Christian, and he got his legs cut off. And it's a shame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He's done so much for wrestling. And when I say to people, Coca Beware now is in the Hall of Fame, and I don't have a problem with that. He was very influential. He was a great African-American wrestler, but he was a fucking mid-card gimmick, wasn't he, at best? But Christian is right there at the top of people who belong in there who aren't yet. And maybe that's because he's too young. Maybe we need to wait until he's much older or until he, God forbid, passes away before we give him the fucking admiration that he deserves. But he deserves to be on that podium sharing his story instead of making so many people two-time Hall of Famers, which is what they've fucking done.
It's not fair. Like, I don't really have any basis to say that other than a bit of personal bias. Just, another big Canadian boy, Canada doing another huge contribution to the wrestling world, and he's just forgotten about. And it's not fair to him because, concussions, yeah. That man I'm sure he's had his fair share of injuries doing stupidly huge ladder spots and all that stuff he did back in the 90s, early 2000s, all that kind of stuff. He deserves the recognition for what he's done. And the fact that he doesn't have it is just mind-boggling.
Jeremy Miller, do you have anyone that you believe should be in the Hall of Fame?
I've got a couple of them, but the one that I'm going to say in particular that should be in the Hall of Fame is a guy that technically is still wrestling, but shouldn't be, and that's The Undertaker. He needs to go away. I'm not trying to see old man Taker, what he was back in the day as the American badass and as the leader of the ministry, to what he is now, where you can tell he's just doing this because Vince is giving him a phone call and saying, Taker, I need your help. And he looks like a walking corpse. They need to let him go and let him be in the Hall of Fame where he belongs, because he is one of the most iconic wrestlers of the era that I've watched wrestling. He is, if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar, he would still have a WrestleMania undefeated streak. But Brock Lesnar beat him. Fine. That's cool. Then they did Roman Reigns. Fine. Let Roman get over, since that's Vince's boy anyways. But everything else, up until then is just killing me inside, and it's killing his name. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, and I get that. But God damn it, let him just rest in peace. Let it be. He needs to stay away from the business, go into the Hall of Fame where he belongs, and be with his wife, Michelle, on his ranch in Texas.
Money Michelle.
Yes, get in there. I was going to say that. Oh, Moneybags Michelle.
But yeah, Undertaker for sure is one that I am hoping to God gets in the Hall of Fame and stays away from the ring for a long time.
Point off Jeremy Miller, because first of all, this is a rant about who should be in the Hall of Fame, not who should retire. And second of all, you know he's going in, so we don't really have to worry about him. But I see your point as well. Like, you've just basically used this opportunity to rant about how you want Undertaker to retire, which is annoying, because if you told me that prior, we could have had that as a separate rant and all.
Sorry.
You're fired. You're fucking fired. Get out. You're fired. Nah, you're right.
Bye, everybody. No.
It's my turn, and my turn is for the big man himself, Big Van Vader. Stick Vader in the Hall of Fame. Nobody has given more to the Hoss division, and as everybody knows, I like meaty Hoss battles. I am the master of the meaty Hoss battle, and I love Hosses. And you know what? You don't get Volta, you don't get Joe Coffey, you don't get Braun Strowman, you don't get Big Show and all that fucking like, and you don't get them in the way you do unless people like The Undertaker and Vader are here. Vader is amazing, or was amazing, bless his soul. Rest in peace, good man. He was a powerhouse like no other. And what annoys me, right, is you've got guys who are in the Hall of Fame who don't really have a huge legacy in terms of what they've done in certain companies. You know, overall, they probably deserve to be in. There's not many people that I look at and think, absolutely fucking not, that person should not be in there. And then I look at Vader. He's passed away as well. And I know that shouldn't be a prerequisite for putting people in the Hall of Fame. But for fuck's sake, this man... You know, do you know why he's not in? I truly believe that's because he didn't do all of his best work in WWF, and because I've noticed this as well. Have you noticed? If you make your name elsewhere, you don't get an opportunity at the Hall of Fame nearly as much as other people. And Christian's probably a good reason for that, because he said, fuck you, I'm going to TNA because I guarantee you I can be a star. He let his contract run out and he went to TNA and he became a star and he became a main event player, and then he came back, and Vince probably could never handle that fact because he's an egotistical, roided up, grapefruit loving shitbag. And ultimately, the reason that I think Vader's not in the Hall of Fame is for the same reason, because his career went to Japan, where he was motherfucking top gaijin, well before B. Priestley could even claim that mantelpiece. And he was incredible, and his stuff with Stan Hansen, and he even tagged with Bam Bam Bigelow, who, by the way, also should be in the fucking Hall of Fame, and I'll get onto him as well. Like, they were tag team champions, IWGP heavyweight tag team champions. Ain't nobody dethroning those motherfuckers. Jesus Christ. Like, he is so famous, and he has literally done everything in this business. And even though he had a short run in WWF, he had some good stuff. I liked his stuff with Kane. He had some decent rivalries. But they were obsessed at that point of, you know, you gotta be a cartoon character. You gotta be a gimmick. Vader's gimmick was that he could kick 10 miles of shit out of you. And do you know what? A guy who's damn near 350, 400 pounds doing a moonsault is fucking impressive in anyone's world. And he has given so much to the power scene, and he is regarded, other than his WWF run, as the greatest power wrestler of all time. And now that you've put someone like Jushin Thunder Liger in, you cannot say to me, oh, well, you can't put Vader in because he didn't have a really good spell in WWF. That's off the table now, completely. If Thunder Liger's going in, then Vader absolutely has to go in.
Oh, 110%. Well, like, we know Vader, he had some good work in WCW as well, like kind of in between his stints in Japan. I think we're all aware of the only reason he didn't win the WWF Championship is because Shawn Michaels was like, I'm the best guy in the world. I'm on a big old druggy power trip, so fuck this guy. He hits too hard. That doesn't do it for me. Oh, 100%, 110% true story. I do some research. And then, yeah, going to Japan. Was it a match with Vader where Mick Foley lost his ear? Was it Vader?
Yeah, it was.
Sure it was
yeah,
Vader.
His stuff, Vader's WCW stuff, by the way, is so underrated. His rivalry with Sting. was fucking amazing. That match, they had a Starcade, the Leather Strap match. It was fucking awesome. The amount of promos now, ultimately, he was in the Dungeon of Doom, and that was never good for anybody. The Dungeon of Doom. But he just did so much. So much. He literally gave his life to this business. Oh, no, you can't be in the Hall of Fame, even posthumously, because you were a star in Japan. This guy's eye popped out in a fight with Stan Hansen, and he carried on wrestling for 12 to 15 minutes. With his fucking eye out. His eye popped out of its socket and he shoved it back in and carried on going. That alone should stick him in the fucking Hall of Fame, surely. Like, fucking, somebody pop Vince McMahon's eyeball out and see how he likes it. He probably wouldn't even fucking notice because of the amount of roids, but fuck's sake. What does it take to put these people in the Hall of Fame? Look how long it took to put China in. That was a fucking joke. Oh, she's dead now, put her in. Great. So we have to wait for great people to die just because you've got a fucking stick up your ass about certain people. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody like Triple H had to say as well. I said, nah, don't put Vader in because, you know, our boy Sean, he didn't like Vader. Fuck what these people think. It's about legacy. Whether they were fucking controversial or not shouldn't matter. Fuck me. You put a convicted rapist in Mike Tyson. You've got a megalomaniac borderline terrorist as the President of the United States and Donald Trump. He's in a fucking Celebrity Ring of the Hall of Fame. You had old Smacky Brown himself, Kid Rock, he's in there and all. Jesus Christ. Like, you're happy to put these people in. Pete Rose, fucking, so many random people.
Snoop
Dogg's in there. Like, I know they're Celebrity Wing, so people will argue, whatever they're Celebrity Wing, they don't count. But, like, you should look at the list of people who are in here. It's absolute bollocks. Drew Carey's in the Hall of Fame, god damn it.
And he eliminated himself from the 2001 Royal Rumble. Let's not forget how fucking monumental that was. Wow. Why the fuck is William Regal not in the Hall of Fame? Like, I know he's doing the GM stuff in NXT, which he's fucking brilliant. Every time he's standing, like, up in the rafters, Sting style, he's like, there's one way to settle this. War Games! And I'm like, hell yeah. I pop my tits off every time that man screams about War Games. But there's so much more to William Regal than that. You forget how funny he can be. You can forget how much of a conniving fucking foreign heel he can be because he's English, he's not American, therefore he's foreign. He'll just have the gimmick where he's better than you. Like, this man could do everything. He won, 2008? He won King of the Ring? I think it was 2008. And I think he was on a huge push until there was a wellness policy violation and a suspension, and he's admitted that he's done that to himself. An honorable man, a fucking fantastic wrestler, great on the mic, can do pretty much anything the company asks him to do, like babysit a very special superstar for a while. That was also a thing that happened. Just, it's another case like Christian, like, this guy could do anything the company asks, and you know what they do? They don't appreciate it. I'm sure Triple H does in NXT. There's no way that Triple H every week doesn't go, man, we wouldn't be able to fucking do this without you. I sincerely believe that. But Vince doesn't give a fuck, and Vince probably has the last say about who goes into the Hall of Fame. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense to me, and it needs to be rectified sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I genuinely think the only reason I haven't put him in is because he still works there. But hey, Pat Patterson's in there. He still works there. Arn Anderson was put in there while he was still working there. Multiple people. Don't even get me started on what I did to Arn Anderson. But
all right, I've got a couple. One I know will probably never get into the Hall of Fame is Yoshihiro Tajiri. Yeah, he did most of his work and most of his legacy in ECW, but look at what he did in WWE. He was a multiple-time cruiserweight champion. He was a good wrestler. He was a strong Japanese wrestler, so it brought in a Japanese demographic to a Attitude Era and post-Attitude Era that really didn't have much Japanese anything. So I think Tajiri would be a good one to have in there because, look, you got people like Coco Beware and stuff like that. Good Lord. Tajiri would be a good shout.
Here is my highly controversial, but I believe to be factual statement. Tajiri, for me, is the most successful Japanese male wrestler that WWE has ever had.
I don't think you can argue that. And anyone who tries is not going to win. Like our boy said, fucking multiple-time cruiserweight champion, couple-time tag team champion with both William Regal and Eddie Guerrero. He made the Green Mist popular in North America, for sure.
Yeah, not Great Muta. It was Tajiri that did that. I know Great Muta is kind of the originator of that, but it was Tajiri who fucking did it first. Well, at least made it popular in North America.
Yeah, I mean, when Asuka does it nowadays, people aren't going, man, the Great Muta is a huge thing for her. They're like, no, man, that was Tajiri's thing. At least I like to think that's what they do.
The only other Japanese wrestler that I could see possibly might be better than Tajiri would be Taka. Michinoku.
It's a good shout. I think he's definitely a better technical wrestler, but if you look back at the legacy of what they did, there is no question Tajiri did more in WWE than Taka Michinoku. Taka Michinoku was never anything more than a light heavyweight champion. He was very fun in Kai and Tai. Really enjoyed them. Thought him and Funaki were hysterically good fun, especially with the dubbing thing. You know, to be able to go along with that. Yeah, but thank you. Whenever you say Funaki and Kai and Tai, people immediately go for the choppy pee and kind of happy, really. But I loved. I think Kai and Tai should be in actually as a pairing. I think they're fucking hilarious. They were great fun. If I was going to put Taka in, I'd put him in as Barnett. But he won't go in because he's still working incredibly hard behind the scenes and also on screen for NJPW. So Vince is probably thinking, fuck you, midget Japanese. You want to work somewhere else? You're not getting in my Hall of Fame, you piece of shit, mate. So, you know, it is what it is. But we're going to wrap this rant up. If you liked it, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, all that jazz. And we also want to hear who you think has been omitted so far but should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. You got any suggestions? Leave them in the comments below. I want to hear them. I want to hear you guys sounding off. And I want to make sure that your voices are heard so that we can do more rants and include you. Give you guys a shout out. Plug your media as well. And most importantly, make sure that you have your say because we are the most interactive podcast going. We have been for 3 years and we continue to do so. I think we'll leave it there. Kyle and Jeremy, thank you very much for joining us, lads. I really appreciate you guys being candid and honest about your opinions on the WWE Hall of Fame.